Alright, our last example for today is going to look at what happens to our size of our interval as we have to increase our confidence level. So if we consider the proportion of primary school children in Australia who use social media, we want to calculate and compare the 90%, 95% and 99% approximate confidence intervals for P if we select a random sample of 200 children and find the sample proportion P hat to be 0.7. Okay, so now we've been given that our N is 200 and we don't know how many children out of that 200 is are in that sample proportion. Okay, they've just told us that our sample proportion is 0.7. If we don't get given an X value, we can't use inter with our calculator, but that's okay because remember that our standard deviation is actually equal to the square root of P hat 1 minus P hat over N, and we can work that out because we know that P hat is 0.7, that's 0.3, 200, and that gives us a value of 0.00105. And what we do know from our previous formulas, that our confidence interval, the formula is actually P hat minus Z sigma, P hat plus Z sigma, okay, and that means we can just work that out, can't we? Because we know for a 90% confidence interval, Z equals 1.64. 1.64. So that means that my first confidence interval is going to be 0.7 minus 1.64 times 0.00105 to 0.7 plus 1.64, 0.00105, and that gives me a confidence interval of 0.647 to 0.753. Okay, and we can say for a 95% confidence interval, our Z is going to be 1.96. So therefore our confidence interval will be 0.7 minus 1.96 times 0.00105 and 0.7 plus 1.96 times 0.00105. And that confidence interval is going to be 0.636 and 0.764. And for a 99% confidence interval, Z is going to be 2.58. Remember, you need to know those numbers. So that means we're going to have 0.7 minus 2.58 times 0.00105 and 0.7 plus 2.58 times 0.00105. And that confidence interval is going to be 0.616 to 0.784. Notice that as I have to increase my my certainty or my percentage for my confidence intervals, my intervals actually have to encompass more values or be wider. So you'll see this little diagram on the right hand side here. For a 90% confidence interval, I can have a much shorter range of values, whereas for a 99% confidence interval, I have to have a bigger range of values because they expect me to be surer of that values. Okay, so we need to know what happens to the width of the confidence interval as the confidence level increases, and what happens to the width of the confidence interval as the sample size increases. So I want you to think about both of those things. Okay, we need to interpret that. Okay, so I guess the way we would be writing that is that therefore we would expect that so we need to be able to divide them between the 90, the 95 and the 99, that 90% of intervals such as 0.647, 0.73 would contain the proportion of children who use social media, comma, that 95% of intervals such as 0.636, 0.764 would contain the proportion of children that use social media, and 99% of intervals such as 616.784 would contain the proportion of children who use social media. So I hope that interpretation makes sense. We're going to stop there for today, and I want you to do exercise 13.4, question 1 to 8.